Reese, in this collection, you reference the silent movie era.
Yes.
Could you talk about why that for your inspiration?
You know, I often refer things to a certain period of fashion because I like proportion, and a lot of there isn't anything that hasn't really been done before, in theory. And I look for something to inspire me. You know, I was very attracted to silent films and the stars that nobody ever saw again after the emergence of sound. Louise Brooks, so many people that were amazing during that period, in that kind of dark film noir period of silent film where the morality laws hadn't kicked in and they weren't telling artists they couldn't show breast, they couldn't show skin. And I wanted to reference the collection to that kind of free and easy attitude toward the clothing, a sense of chemise and movement in the fabric. I worked with fabrics that were identified with that kind of period, like Panne velvet and velvet dévoré, lace. Lace was a big one. And I never work with those fabrics normally because to me they're too girly. But in this case, I felt a real kinship to it. And I used them this time. I kind of made it happen. I brought it together using feminine aspects and turning them a little more sportsweary.
In your collection, fall 2009 last year, your inspiration was kind of medieval armor,
Yes.
and you used a lot of steel grays and blues.
Yes.
But this year you're using kind of beige and burnt orange. Could you talk about why that color palette?
Well, it was more copper. Copper was the metal. I've used gold before for summer collections. I've used silver, I've used pewter. For me this time it was important to reference a metal I hadn't used that was warmer, that felt more fall, winter, almost holiday-like. And the deep copper tone, the burnt orange of the copper, was a beautiful metallic to work with. Also using powder blue, which was the other color I used, which was a gray blue, a very pale gray blue, and mixing it with brown, which is very chic, with deep brown. It adds a great, they stand in stark contrast to each other, yet it's so dry and has a beautiful winter quality to it without becoming black or gray. So for women, I really played with those colors, touched on it with men's. And of course, winter white, which I got tired of using black all the time, and it became fun to work with winter white.
You are including a little bit of a shimmer to the rust color, if you want to call it that, and to some of the cashmere beige colors. Why that shimmer?
I think it's very modern, and I think it's very futuristic a little bit, while still giving a nod to, the yesteryear's usage of lame and things like that. I love all the new technologies that are done with silks and wools. Fantasy tweed, I worked for Chanel for years. I fell in love with expensive fantasy tweeds.